Coming to you from our opulent and luxurious 4x8 refurbished room closet at the national headquarters in Indianapolis. With duct tape studio lights and a mic that you barely can hear, we hope to entertain and educate you. This is the Tango Alpha Lima podcast.
They call me crazy cause I'm facing all my giants. They try to scare me into thinking I can fight it. They tell me I should never even think of trying. But that's just me, I'm gonna live out in defiance.
Hello, and welcome to our second episode of the Tango Alpha Lima podcast, coming to you live from Indianapolis, Indiana. I am your essential every other Wednesday host, Mark Seavey, formerly new media editor. As of today, I am now the Special Projects Counsel, which I don't know what that means either. But I'm also apparently the only person in America who has neither watched nor intends to watch the Tiger King documentary. So, you know, I do like your picture, though, Ashley. I'm joined, as always, by my two co-hosts, Ashley coming to us out of the D.C. area and Jeff from Hollywood, California. You can tell he's from Hollywood because of that opulent and luxurious, as they say, background he's got there. Not just anybody could have a whoopee and a haircut like that. That's all Jeff. As always, we hope our podcast will inform, entertain, and amuse you, as well as educate you on some of the important issues going on in the military and veterans world. Guys, hello. It's a wild world out there. Jeff, I see that you have America's hottest commodity, so you must be doing all right.
Let me tell you something. I'm out here in Los Angeles. The last week, as you know, I recorded from bed and I was comfortable, but I got scared this week. So now I'm in my Corona bunker with the original Marine Corps green screen, and I'm protecting the most precious commodity in America right now. I got this TP at TJ. That's Trader Joe's. They did not pay us for that, so that's not an endorsement. But I did find some TP, and now I have to protect it down here in my bunker.
Nice. Ashley, you are no longer alone. How's everything going there?
I am not alone any longer. Hubby is home from his military training because I know, all you cool cats and kittens out there are checking in. If you were a TV show enthusiast, I know that a lot of you are probably like not loving being inside all day and cooped up like a kitty in a cage. So that's the shout out to some pop culture going on in our Netflix lives. So got this with my takeout dinner, supporting small businesses here in DC. While I was watching it, it was amazing.
You also got crayons, and you haven't colored it yet.
I know, but I don't want to put them in front of Jeff. See, this is why. This is why. You want the red crayon? I'll send it all the way to Cali for you.
Green is my favorite flavor, please.
Okay. Got it.
All right, our first story, which apparently everyone under the sun is talking about, is the firing of Captain Brett Crozier, most recently in charge of the USS Theodore Roosevelt. The basic gist for the 6 people out there that haven't heard this already is that the captain of the Roosevelt, CVN 71, put out email where he called for the Navy to help out his crew, many of whom had coronavirus. That part was fine. The problem is he also sent it to 20 other people. Somewhat predictably, it got picked up by the news. So that was obviously bad. And then he was subsequently fired for that. And then, to make it even more interesting, I guess, because the story wasn't bad enough, the Secretary of the Navy decided to go out to the ship and say that he was too naive or stupid to have been a captain in the first place. Then Maudley, the Navy Secretary, apologized for that, somewhat belatedly. And then yesterday, seeing the writing on the wall, he submitted his resignation, which has been formally accepted. Now, my take on this is I'm actually going to quote a guy off Twitter here, Brian McGrath, who's a former Navy commander as well. And he said, to conclude, I hope that in his place, I would have done what Crozier did. Had I would have known that it would have been the end of that command. And if I were in Maudley's place, I would have likely done the exact same thing he did. Command is a unique position in the Navy, and an enormous amount of trust is placed in the CO. Crozier appears to have violated that trust. The optics and the narrative are terrible for the Navy right now, and it occurs to me that there were other right paths Modley could have taken, but I do not fault him for the decision he made. Now, McGrath was referring specifically to the firing. The subsequent actions where he called the CO too stupid or too naive to be in command of a ship, I think that was a pretty clear crossing of the Rubicon. Ashley, what do you think about this whole thing?
So I find it incredibly ironic because I was following this and I was reading just the phrases that he chose to speak on an intercom, not like, in front of a formation or anything really formal. It was just kind of this blurb of randomness. And for him to justifiably say like, oh, well, you're too naive or this and that to have let everything go out into the media, it's kind of ironic because if you didn't think that somebody was going to record or be like, what the hell is this? Excuse me. But like, and then go forward and like record and share. I mean, we live in the digital world. That's just kind of a given. And I could not believe the hellfire that reigned thereafter. I mean, I've never seen anything quite like it on social media.
From everywhere.
Petitions.
Everywhere.
I mean, people were losing their minds, and rightfully so.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Jeff.
I was gonna say, like in Hollywood, there are two things that they noticed. Number one, you gotta know your audience. They gave that man a roaring exit on that ship. He was their hero. Then this guy comes in thinking he's gonna PR this up, speaking to those people who gave him a standing ovation round of like. They gave him a hero send-off, and then he goes and calls their hero a stupid and or naive. That's lesson number one. Lesson number two is this. And we have this award show that not everyone watches. It's called the Razzies, and it's for bad acting. This guy was the acting secretary, so I am nominating him for a Razzie for really, really crappy acting.
Yeah, how about you read the room? I mean, it's not that difficult. Like, how far down the spectrum do you need to be to not realize that everyone you're just talking to right now was basically worshiping the captain the day before, and somehow you thought this was going to land?
Somebody came
Incredible.
into my chain of command and was just started barking random stuff at me, and I'll just be like, first of all, like, my mission is to take care of my soldiers. Like that's a part of my NCO creed. Like I will. Like, wow.
Yeah, I think my sneaky favorite part is the fact that he tried to do it on the intercom, too, because at least if you're going to give this insane speech to a formation, you can count on there being enough professional people that they're all just going to adopt the 1,000-yard stare and look past you. But when you're doing it over the intercom, what did they think all these sailors were doing as this was going on? Everybody was looking around like, are you kidding me with this right now?
Exactly.
Yeah,
I probably would have too. I'd be like, what is happening right now? So,
Jeff, you got anything to add on this one?
I mean, beyond the bad acting, if you go to the captain, and I could see it both ways. I could see him, defending and trying to protect his crew.
Right.
But on the other hand, I remember being on a ship. I was barely allowed to say that I was on the ship because me saying that I was on the ship meant that there were Marines on the ship. And saying that there were Marines on the ship is OPSEC violation. So I can see both sides, but at the same time, you're decreasing the readiness by having an entire ship sick.
Yeah.
So there was some desperation, but he's
ship.
Also a nuclear ship, but he knows what requesting mast is. If somebody above him didn't listen, he could have just kept going up. I mean, I can see both sides, but the reality is that these things are strict, and being right doesn't always seem right. But in the bigger picture, we just don't have room in the military to not follow procedure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was a hero. He was a hero for doing it. He knew the second he did it, I'm sure, that there were going to be the consequences that happened, but he did it anyway. Right. So that makes him, and he's still a captain in the Navy. I just don't think he's gonna. I think he's never going to see that Admiral star. But
I would have a hard time believing he would. All right, topic number 2, and we will go to you, Jeff. What do you got for us?
All right, so not everyone's living in a bunker like me. There are Legionnaires out there still legioning, and some of the ways that they're doing it are with buddy checks and blood drives and delivering food. I will speak to Hollywood Post 43, A, because I love my home post, and B, because I kind of know what they're doing. So we recently had a blood drive with the UCLA Blood and Platelet Center, and everything was following the rules. We social distanced. We waited in line outside. They were cleaning up in between. Everyone was wearing masks. It was a beautiful, wonderful thing. 65 pints of life-saving blood, which was great. And we've also recently started doing buddy checks, and we started with our most vulnerable and with our members from Vietnam era and previous. And we're doing it in waves because we're a big post. And for other posts out there, I hope that people are doing buddy checks, and there are resources available if you don't really know what to do. Legion.org has a couple of great ones, and when we get on the Facebook follow-up chat where we continue the conversation, I can link some of those in that conversation there for everyone to do. And it's just so simple. And in fact, I know my home state, Michigan, made a buddy check recently to somebody, didn't they?
Yeah, they've been doing all kinds of different things, but I mean I don't know specifically what some posts are doing. I can only speak to the ones that I'm seeing, but I know like my wife has spent probably 5 hours every night sewing masks for the local hospitals, and that's something that, you know, if you know how to sew, obviously that's useful. But Ashley, what are some of the other things you're seeing people doing out there?
So I've been watching a lot of care packages, just kind of monitoring the social media space. There's just been so many people who have stepped up in so many ways, from small business owners to kind of opening up their product line, or, you know, creating something new. And I'm really excited because I think through this entire pandemic, there's going to be a lot of companies, there's going to be a lot of people who really showcase like what Americans can do for one another from just a business and entrepreneurial standpoint. So like I said, I've been seeing a lot of care packages from, you know, the Legion standpoint. I've been watching a lot of great good news stories from folks who are, you know, visiting each other, like in having conversations like through, you know, their glass doors, and, you know, delivering food and then kind of knocking and running kind of thing. But it's been really uplifting, and a lot of the social media, both between funny memes and, of course, right, and you know, Joe Exotic and and just the Legion space. Like, I've just been watching a lot of people come together over some interesting things. So I'm very positive, but I'm really happy with everything that the American Legion has been doing. Yeah, that's the. Sorry, I keep thinking about this drawing of Joe Exotic, and I just watched the whole thing last night, everybody. So,
you know, you were talking about you know, veterans and kind of understanding the coronavirus to a certain extent. I got a list the other day, and I'll leave it to you to decide whether this list is about coronavirus currently or whether it was your time in the military. But never any toilet paper. Lots of tinned food, being told what to do all the time, ordered into groups or defined size of groups, watching everyone around you panic, constant instructions which are always changing, information which is out of date by the time you get it, being told what to do in your free time, standing in long lines to get food, carrying a mask around all the time, your weekend plans are all buggered up, and your favorite bars are all off limits. Now, who among us hasn't gone through that one in the military?
That is now everybody in the civilian world kind of gets a little taste.
Right.
And,
so you always thought about joining the military? Welcome. How are you enjoying it so far?
Hurry up and wait. Hurry up and wait.
Minus the fact that at your house you actually have you know, decent sleeping, and you're not out in the mud, and you've got internet. Like, pretty much nails it across the board on the rest of it.
And there's so many resources, classes, people that are just opening up, like, just ample amount of resources, creative projects. I have just been so shocked at the amount of free stuff, like subscriptions. I'm like, throw it all my way. I will take all of these classes. Yes, please.
Well, and the downtime's not horrible either. I actually, now that I, work from home, obviously my commute is 0, so I save that time. But like yesterday, I strapped on my body armor and a ruck and went out for about 5 miles. So yeah, and it kind of felt good to get back into the old lifestyle, I guess. So topic number 3, we will go to you, Ashley. What do you got for us today?
All right, so I wanted to just talk a little bit about the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, Economic Security Act, or the CARES Act. So there's been a lot of questions out there, and I've been monitoring social media. I know, like, Stars and Stripes, Military Times, everyone is like, okay, I'm a veteran, maybe I'm disabled or not, like, do I qualify for stimulus checks? And that's been a big question. So, I did a little bit of research, and I just wanted to encourage folks to, like, if you have some time, check out the Senate bill that went through, because there's so much stuff in there, and also encouraging people to go onto the IRS website, because the economic impact payments, like what you need to know, it's all there. And I want to just kind of put it out there. There is misinformation out there, and just to be aware. Right? So there's misinformation out there, and I want to encourage folks to, follow accredited sites, blue check verified sites on your social media for the most part, right? So like Veterans Benefit Administration, to the VA, to, following, the IRS, the Center of Disease Control, like CDC, following these platforms is going to help you get the most accurate information in time and place. So I know for a lot of folks, they've been curious about like who's eligible for this economic impact payment. So, your tax filers, as a tax filer, there is a whole slew of information. So, for example, how will the IRS know to send me a payment? How and who is eligible? So, as a veteran, like, okay, if I'm 100% disabled, like, if I get VA benefits, like, how does that affect me, right? So there's these questions. And I just want to, comfort people, because, with the COVID-19 stimulus package, like, as income, you're going to receive, a stimulus like package, or a stimulus check. So essentially, like, your direct stimulus will not be counted as income or resources for the purposes of like determining your eligibility for VA benefits. Like, I found that out, and I was like, what? So 'cause I've had people come ask me, they're like, well, I'm 100% disabled, and I'm like, maybe I don't file taxes. I'm telling you, get online and check out the IRS eligibility to see like what you qualify for, and be wary. Again, there's a lot of misinformation out there. So that's what I wanted to kind of share with everyone today, is that there's just so much out there. Just be cognizant of like what sites you're going to, but really check out, if you want to know more, I'm serious, like, go and type in to your Google or whatever search browser of your choice, and look up details for the Coronavirus Relief Bill or the CARES Act. I know NPR did a really, really great story. In addition, like, you can look at the text of everything that's supposed to be in that everything that's in that act, and it will break it down by category, from small business to individual and vice versa. So that's just kind of what I wanted to share with you all.
Jeff?
Well, the big worry I have right now is there's two problems. There's misinformation and there's information overload. And a lot of people have specific questions, and they're not going to read the entire bill. I do know that the American Legion went to Capitol Hill to talk about people getting veterans benefits, and trying to get the IRS to use that system to qualify veterans, so that they don't have to go and fill out a 2018 form when they weren't required to fill out a 2018 form because they didn't make enough money. So I think some of the resources we need to go to probably start at the Legion, but I would say that the IRS that was an excellent suggestion, Ashley, because a lot of people will think to go look at the legislation, but really it's the implementation of the legislation, and the IRS has taken the point on that, and they're the ones that can slow it down for specific groups. So staying abreast of that, and possibly checking with the Legion site, and then bugging your representatives to make sure that those things are being enacted for our favor.
Yep. As a guy who worked as a lobbyist for many years, you don't really want to read the bill, because that's not going to be nearly as important as the implementation with the regulations and everything else. So I second the IRS. Let's go to our rapid fire, and we've got three rapid fire stories. We're going to go with crazy guy, tough guy, and traveling guy. So let's start with we
have a theme.
The crazy, we got a theme today. We'll start with crazy guy, and this is probably sneaky my favorite story possibly of all time, and it comes to us from USA Today. And the title is enough to confuse you right off the bat. California engineer ran train off the end of the rail tracks in attempted attacks on the U.S. Navy ship Mercy in Los Angeles, the DOJ says. A California man faces federal charges after officials allege he ran a train at full speed off the end of the rail tracks near the U.S. naval ship Mercy, the 1,000-bed floating hospital that arrived in L.A. last week amid the pandemic. Moreno, that's this Eduardo Moreno, 44 of San Pedro, told law enforcement officers, quote, he intentionally derailed and crashed the train near the Mercy, end quote. The train he was conducting crashed through several barriers and came to a rest. And his purported reason for doing all this is that he wanted to alert people of the threat of, I guess, a global takeover. And he said, you only get this chance once, and the whole world is watching. I had to. People don't know what's going on here. Now they will. Now, generally speaking, have you ever heard of a more ineffective attempt at attacking a Navy ship than using a train? Jeff, I'll go to you.
Well, every pun that I'm about to say is intended. I have tracked this story, and this guy's motives were crazy. They were loco motives. And as Holly pointed out earlier, this guy is off the rails. I don't know if he's aware that tracks don't go into the water. So I don't really understand the attack.
Not particularly familiar with the concept of gravity either. If you thought that you could get a train up going enough that the hyperbole would take you out into the port of Los Angeles to hit a Navy ship. I mean, that is
the hydroplane.
That is some trucking right there. Ashley, what do you think about Mr. Eduardo Moreno?
So I'm just going to quote John Stamos. Have mercy. Like, come on, people. Like, this is crazy. You like that? You like that, Jeff? Have mercy.
I'm gonna have to look that one up. I'm unfamiliar with that quote. So.
You're not familiar? Full House? John Stamos, who plays Uncle Jesse?
I played outside.
First crush ever. Anyway.
I had friends. I'm sorry. I was in a military school and we didn't have a TV. That's my excuse for missing everything between 1987 and like 95, I guess.
You missed out. I'm sure that there's some free subscription right now that will allow you to watch that.
Oh, I'm too busy putting off watching the Tiger King documentary. I can't put off watching more than one thing at a time. I'm just trying to limit myself. My second story here is entitled Oregon Veteran 95 Years Old Beats Coronavirus. And I'm just going to kind of go right to the quote, but it's Bill Kelly of McMinnville, Oregon. And his granddaughter said, Grandpa Bill's pretty hardcore. And I kind of got to agree with him because his quote was, I survived the foxholes of Guam in World War II. I can get through this coronavirus bull bleep. What do you think of that quote? Is that pretty hardcore or what?
Oh, he's that guy. Think about this, though. His parents survived the Spanish flu and probably grew up telling him, and he's probably right now going, I've been training for this my whole life.
Yeah.
And he's ready to go, and whatever he should have a YouTube channel because I'm going to do whatever he's doing.
Yeah, he's officially that guy that's like, back in my day, we walked backwards 7 miles through snow to get to school. That dude lives it. Lives it.
Probably like, tall glass and OJ, a little bit of walking, you'll be fine, kid. You'll be fine. Like I just imagine the advice that he's giving, like, it's cool.
He probably caught worse in the foxholes and they just didn't diagnose it. Probably. Ugh.
At least Guam didn't tip over while he was there, so he's got that going for him. That's a callback to a congressman. If you don't know, look that one up. All right, and our last story is Traveling Man. Now, as you know, coronavirus has really hit the Pacific Northwest pretty hard, and one of the most famous residents of the Pacific Northwest has been cited in, what is this thing called? It was Turkey Mountain, apparently, in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and the River Parks Authority put out this memorandum, which was pretty good. With regards to the reported sightings of a large unidentified mammal dubbed social distance Sasquatch at Turkey Mountain, we acknowledge the timing of this statement is not ideal, given that it came out on April Fool's Day. We have looked into the matter and find no credible information to affirm the appearance of a Bigfoot at Turkey Mountain. Is this... If I had read this story first and the engineer ran the train off to attack the Navy ship to draw attention to the fact that the government is lying to us about Bigfoot in Tulsa, Oklahoma, would you have believed that?
Can I just start? So, all those cool cats and kittens. You know who else is in Oklahoma?
That guy is.
Sorry, that couldn't have been more perfect. I think that's this is so bizarre. Like such a bizarre lineup of all of our stories. I
mean, if you're Bigfoot, are you going to go to Tulsa? Like, there's nothing wrong with Tulsa, but
I'm going to Canada. I'm going up to the Greenwood. I'm getting the heck out. Like
I'm going to Minnesota. I'm gonna spend my days in the Boundary Waters up there, because people can only canoe in like groups of 10, and if you're a Bigfoot, you can take out 10 people, I'm thinking.
No, wait, he went from Oregon to Oklahoma, right?
Right.
So, I mean, Sasquatches are big fellas. I imagine his foot pace isn't that great, and I don't think he's getting on a plane or a train or an automobile's movie reference. And I don't know how he got there. I don't know how he chose his destination. Is he reading a lot? Is he looking up destinations on the interwebs?
Yeah.
Why would he be there? And
this is a great opportunity.
Maybe he was looking for new
Travelocity.
zoos. I don't know. Maybe he was looking for, maybe he's got a cat fetish. Who knows? He was just going out there.
Maybe he's investigating Carol Bass, or what's her name? Carol what?
Is it Carol? I think it's Carol Bassett.
Carol Baskin.
Carol Baskin. She's in Florida. Maybe that's where he'll go next.
Maybe he's on his way. I think we should make him the meme for social distancing, since that's in his new nickname.
Social distance Sasquatch.
I think this would be a great thing.
I just have a bigger problem with him going all the way from Washington to Tulsa. Like, you have
Washington,
to walk.
Not Oregon.
Yeah, Washington. You have to go through some pretty sketchy states where there's high gun ownership and a lot of mountains. Like, I'm going to think you don't really want to go through Colorado or Utah or any of those places right now. And on top of that, why would a Bigfoot travel south for the summer? That just makes no sense to me. I mean, I'm not disputing the Turkey Mountain sightings here. I 100% think he is down there, but it just, there's so many questions, and I wish some of these reporters would just go down there and find him and talk to him, because I need to know. I need answers.
I'm following the money as an economics educated man, and I want to know these people at Turkey Mountain who are promoting tourism. I want to know where they were when all of these stories came out. I want to check their computers, because I feel like something shady is happening and people are making money.
This has got to be a boon for Turkey Mountain, though, right? I mean, every
right?
Every knucklehead with a six-pack in him is running around the urban center of Tulsa looking. Hey, have you seen a 7-foot hairy guy? Like, no.
Oh, and they all will have seen it.
Oh,
right.
I mean, you can't go looking for something and be like, "Nah, I didn't find it. I just wasted 2 weeks of my life." You got to be like, "I caught glimpses of him. He was moving really fast." So, all right. Jeff, you got any shout outs today?
I mean, I want to shout out seriously to all of the first responders out there. I saw someone adding nurses and doctors to, one of those photos where they show police and fire and military people, and they kind of tucked those individuals in there as well. And I 100% concur. In this moment, they're out there in the front line and looking at death every day and trying to save people. And I would issue them a cape when this is all over. And I say that kind of lightly, but I 100% believe it.
Ashley, what do you got?
Jeff took mine. So
Sorry.
I think what's really important is I just want to give a shout out to all the business owners and entrepreneurs out there. I know there's a lot of contractors, freelancers. There's a lot of folks I know here in DC and all across the country that have had to close their doors. And I just, I want you to continue to be creative. Don't lose hope. Like, look up SBA loans, emergency loans. Like, look up and figure out what your resources are, because there are options out there for you. So don't lose hope, because you are building America, and it's incredibly important that you keep the faith. And for those out there, to continue to support small businesses in the COVID-19 pandemic, because at the end of the day, like, we have to support our brothers and sisters, and we do have a significant amount of veteran entrepreneurship and business owners out there. So I just want to give a shout out to all the folks out there who are just kind of grinding it out right now. And, unfortunately, some are filing for unemployment. Like, keep the hope, keep the faith. But that's what I want to dedicate a shout out to this week.
Yeah, I'm going to kind of echo that and then add another one. But I know that I had my air conditioning checked yesterday. They came and did the routine thing. And I'm all for, like you were talking about, small business, local businesses. I try to order out food as much as I plausibly can, just because, I'm doing all right. I work for the American Legion, and they are treating me spectacularly like they always have. So I'm trying to pass it around. So between, people that actually have to go out there, the automobile mechanics are still working, and everyone else. But I want to give a special shout out. I am a notorious hater of phone calls. Absolutely despise phone calls. Even when my wife and I were just dating, and she lived in Texas and I lived in DC, I would limit her to 15 minutes, because that's how much I hate telephone calls. And yeah, I can't. I hope
that was only with phone calls.
It was just phone. Yes. Yeah. I'll visit with anybody. I just, for some reason, hate the phone call. But 2 nights ago, as I was getting ready for bed at the ripe hour of 7 p.m., I got a phone call, a buddy check from the adjutant from the Department of California, Paul Brown. And honestly, it really made me feel good. It kind of surprised me how good it made me feel a little less lonely and isolated. I mean, I have my family, and they keep me occupied, but it's nice connecting with other people. And even if you do it with your friends on text message, which, we're all sending memes around and everything else, but just make sure that if people aren't responding, you keep hitting them up, because whether they express it or not, it's great to know other people are out there. And just as a conclusion here, Jeff had alluded to the fact that we're going to continue the conversation on the American Legion's Facebook page. Pull up American Legion National Headquarters Facebook page, and you'll see us on there. And we'd love to see if you have any topics through the week that you want to share. By all means, send them to me, because that cuts down on my work. If you have any questions, I know there was some people that were asking where our Navy guy was or our Air Force person was. We're going to have guests sooner or later. By the time you get completely bored with us, we'll start having people on to spice it up. But for now, we're what you got. So we hope you like it. Everyone, stay safe out there. Have a good time. Jeff, Ashley, thank you so much for joining me. Appreciate everything you've done.